Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Squads for Noobs, and today we're doing something a little different as we are going to be looking at a GL team, Jedi Master Luke. I'm picking this team because I think it's a very flexible team, and the way you use it, it requires a lot of thought and methodical consideration. There's a lot of different ways to play it, a lot of different options, so it's easy to play it wrong and underestimate it, but it's very valuable. So the comp I'm going to be looking at, you can use JML with any Jedi, and it's going to be great. For different purposes, I use it with everything. Gas, mace, usually not other tanks, but Yoda sometimes. Jedi Cal I use a lot on this major account, but I'm trying to structure this in a way that'll be characters available to the vast majority of players that will unlock him. So Jedi Knight Luke is required for Jedi Master Luke, and same with Hoda. Hoda is required for Jedi Knight Luke, and therefore is required. So both Lukes and Hoda, that's going to be an easy 3 to make it up. Now Revan, he's a different unlock, but he's pretty easily accessible, and he works very well with JML, and enables a lot of extra counters, like really helps against Lord Vader and Leia, so that's why I'm including him. And then Shaak Ti really lends herself well, because she's got a cleanse, even though she has a weak hit on her basic, does weak damage, that doesn't really matter with JML, so she's great to slot in here. And I don't know, if you unlock JML, you may or may not have General Skywalker to lead the 501st instead of Shaak Ti, so it just depends. But this might be a longer video because they're very bulky kits. I mean, JML as a Galactic Legend is a very bulky kit. All these have pretty complex kits, but this is the comp we're going to be looking at. So let's start by looking at JML's kit. So here we go, JML complex kit as a Galactic Legend. So we're starting with the leadership, how it all works, and this leadership is very important. So first we just got the stat boost, 10% max health and protection, doubled for Jedi. Most of the time you are going to just be running Jedi, but you're not always, especially in Conquest. All Jedi allies have plus 30% offense and 40 speed. So that's important to know when you're trying to determine a speed war against another Galactic Legend or something. If all allies are Jedi at the start of the battle, he's going to get taunt while he has protection. So that's why in Conquest, if you bring in a non-Jedi ally, you need Wat Tambor in there to make sure he's taunting. Otherwise, his taunt is going to just basically not exist. Also, next clause is the first time each other Jedi ally falls below full health, they cleanse themselves to get crit immunity, defense up, tenacity for 2 turns. Then he taunts for 2 turns, which is locked. So that's important. So the taunt he has from just having protection is not locked. If someone goes under 100% health, you get locked taunt. And then inherited teachings. This is really the crux of his leadership and how the whole team works, is this inherited teachings ability. It's granted ability, every ally can use it. You basically, the character that uses it gains Jedi lessons, calls a target light side ally to assist. That's important. Light side, not Jedi. You can call any light side ally to assist. That's why in Conquest he's super valuable for getting kills with light side characters. Like a while ago, you needed kills with Ufu Cal Kestis, and he doesn't do a lot of damage. So you just put on JML and just do attacks, and it's a ton of damage, and he doesn't need to be good. They do 90% less damage of their own, but they do true damage based on 60% of JML's base max protection. So what that means, base max protection, that is influenced by mods, it is influenced by datacrons, but it's not influenced by any gains that happen after the start of the battle. So when JML has protection in his mastery stat, and he gains bonus mastery sometimes during the battle, that does not increase the amount of damage from this. Also, if he loses mastery, if he loses that max protection, that doesn't affect this either. It's what his protection is at the very start of the battle when you go in, so that's including the mods and the datacrons on 60% of it. So it's pretty easy to calculate. You just go look at the number as it is when you're entering battle, and that's where it'll be. If the allies a Jedi, they gain Jedi lessons for 3 turns and 15% turn meter and recover protection equal to 5% of his base max protection, and they kind of reduce the cooldown of their own granted ability by 1. So that means when you're who you decide to target, they're all going to do the same amount of damage, but you pick people you want to get turn meter, and then sometimes you want to recover protection. So if you're in Grand Arena and you kind of got the battle on lockdown and you're just finishing it off, you want to call an ally that doesn't have all the protection to try to get that banner back. And then turn meter, if you're trying to get someone to have another turn, you do this to get them turn meter. And I think a lot of people kind of miss that. And you have to have other Jedi allies to use it. You don't have to use it only Jedi allies can use this ability, but you don't have to target other Jedi allies with it, if that makes sense. So that's the leadership. That's kind of the biggest thing. His kit is actually more simple than a lot of GLs. So his unique, not the Galactic Legend unique, Jedi ally can gain Jedi lessons whenever an ally falls below 100% health. So this is kind of the other side of the coin of what we see in his leadership. They recover 25% health and protection, doubled for Jedi, so it's 50% health and protection. He gets Jedi Legacy until the end of the battle, which is plus 100% mastery, ignore taunt effects, and can't gain Jedi lessons. So he can still be targeted with the ability to attack, he just can't gain that buff. So you will be generating less ultimate charge if you call JML to assist with that ability. So that's one of the implications of that. Last unique, very simple because it's all GLs have the exact same unique, which makes it non-unique. They take reduced damage from health damage effects and take massive damage effects. So they're taking, if massive damage was normally like 99,999, instead for them it's like 69,999, and no like very reduced dot damage or burning or anything that's based on max health. They also get 10% max health and max protection per relic level. Damage to the receive is reduced by 30%. Immune to stun effects. Stun effects, mainly just stun and fear. That's pretty much it. But yeah, stun effects includes fear. So lots of reduced damage and lots of extra protection. However, I don't think, that's another thing. This does not influence the damage by Jedi lessons or inherited teachings. That's another thing. So it's only the mods and datacrons do. This ability does not. I'm like 90% sure. And so next, let's go to his specials. And most of the time when you start your turn, you're going to want to start with Efflux. Special damage to all enemies. Remove turn meter, ability block, and breach for 2 turns if you land it. Deal more damage, 10% more damage, and remove an additional 5% turn meter for each ally with Jedi Lessons or Jedi Legacy. So if you have that buff on everybody, doing extra damage and removing additional turn meter. And then all Jedi allies gain 50% turn meter and crit immunity for 1 turn. It's a very nice move. You're gonna kind of cripple the other team as long as you're able to land it and give yourself a boost. So it's a really great starting move. This special is kind of like, I think you need a very specific reason to use it. If you really want to control the cooldowns on another enemy, I use this a lot on Lord Vader to try to control his cooldowns. Otherwise, you're better off doing the granted ability or the AoE. Inflict tenacity down on target enemy, daze them for 2 turns, increase cooldowns by 1. So that's the most important thing. Increase the cooldowns by 1. Raid bosses, inflict tenacity down on target enemy, and then inflict. So it's not limited for GLs, just for raid bosses. What it does, call target light set ally to assist, give them and JML advantage and crit damage up for 2 turns. If they're Jedi, they also get Jedi lessons. And the duration for all current stacks and numbers were set to 3 turns. Okay. Can't be resisted or evaded, and that's just describing what Jedi lessons does. 20% mastery per stack, and you get a max of 3 stacks, max of 60% mastery gain from that buff. But JML is really weak in the mastery department for like affecting his allies. Like characters like Slicker, JMK, Lord Vader, they can just stack mastery up till Kingdom Come. But JML is very, very limited in that regard. That is basic, kind of lackluster, but inflict buff immunity for 2 turns, special damage. He's gonna gain max health up to 20% until the end of the encounter. Will critically hit if able and can't be countered. So I choose not to use that very often. What I usually do is Efflux, then the granted ability, and then this, I guess. But if I don't need to start with Efflux, I'll do the granted ability, Efflux, then the granted ability again. And then the ultimate. So this is charged through all those granted abilities in Jedi Lessons. So either JML's first special or the granted ability, which is why if he's not in the leader slot, you can basically never get the ultimate. You'd have to be in so long that you use that special, I don't know, way too many times to count. Because it's like, how many turns of a cooldown is it? 4? You need to wait through 40, 50 turns to get it. Basically impossible. He gains 8% ultimate charge whenever an ally gets Jedi Lessons. And then when you get 100%, he transforms into heroic JML. So he's slimmer, black robes, more trimmed beard. it's a cleanse for the whole team, and then they don't get Jedi lessons anymore. They get that the Jedi legacy, which is what JML has, plus 100% mastery. It's a slight improvement. They also get a boost of 30% offense till the end of the battle. Crit chance to quit damage up for 2 turns, which is kind of minor, but the cooldown reset and Dispel Mass Cleanse is pretty useful. But then his specials get reduced in cooldown, so you can use E-Flux every other turn, which is really nice once he gets to his ultimate. So his ultimate, not like, doesn't rank super high among the ultimates, but it's just pretty nice. And finally, that's it for JML. I know that almost 10 minutes for just him, but it's necessary. Next, we got Jedi Knight Luke, and we don't need to talk about his leadership or anyone else's leadership because we're just talking about the JML team. So he's unique. He's getting 5% turn meter and offense until 25% until he uses Prevailing Strike on his turn, which is his basic. When he attacks out of turn or is quickly hit, he gains 2 speed up to 20. It's like, okay, it's kind of nice. It's kind of small. And if each other Jedi ally's turn, he gets 10% turn meter as long as they're not Old Republic. So Revan's not going to help this. And he's immune to stun fear. Just nice stuff. So he's just pretty tanky, pretty hard-hitting character. That's why he's so valuable. It just gets pretty simple for what we're looking at with that leadership. Favorite ability of mine on his kit, Repulse. Irresistible stun on all enemies for 1 turn and vulnerable for 2 turns. They lose 10% max health protection. It's amazing. On Galactic Legends, it's just physical damage 3 times and vulnerable. Can't be fatal resisted. It's so smooth. It's just, you know, you stun them, they can't resist it. And even, I think it was after his nerf that they added damage to that to GLs, but it used to just reduce their max health and protection. Really good move. Use it pretty much whenever you can. In territory battles, sometimes you want to save it for the next wave, but it's just an immediate spam on that for me in most cases. His other special, Stalwart Advance, deal physical damage to target enemy, call another ally to assist, and inflict blind on the enemy for 2 turns. So Jedi Knight Luke and the target ally gain Jedi's Will. So this is central in his leadership, but when he's not in the lead, this is the only way you can give it out. So a great buff, 100% counter chance, 50% offense, 25% speed, and plus 25% tenacity. The only one you can't give it to, I don't think you can't give it to Old Republic, so you can't give it to Revan. When he came out, they were so worried about him with Jedi Knight Revan. People still use it with Jedi Knight Revan, but Jedi Knight Revan is not a concern really anymore, so I think it's just kind of a silly clause to have in there. But you give that buff to someone that either you want to do a lot of damage or want to take more turns. Usually, under JML, I just give it to JML, because he does a lot of damage on his own, even though he's a tank. Then Jedi Knight Luke's basic, pretty simple. It's a buff Dispel, deal physical damage to target enemy. If they're a tank, they also do true damage. They'll reduce their critical damage by 10%. And JKL gains 10% max protection up to 100% extra max protection until the end of the encounter, and that can't be countered. So he is a great target for that granted ability with JML. He does a lot of damage on his own. He's doing extra stuff with his basic. He's juicing himself up. He's weakening the enemy. And it's a buff Dispel. So super valuable there with that assist. And before I go back to Revan, I want to look at Shaak Ti because she has a similar thing going on, which is what her value is. So she also has a buff Dispel on her basic. So it's nice to have 2 characters that have buff Dispels on their basic because you can use basics all the time. You call anyone you choose to assist. And it's nice to have 2 because if the character, if you only have 1, if that character, it's their turn, and you do want to call the assist, but you also want to do buff Dispel, you don't have to choose between doing a basic with them and calling the assist. You can just call Shaak with Jedi Knight Luke or Jedi Knight Luke with Shaak. But also super valuable offense up for all allies for a turn. So if someone loses offensive up, just call her to assist. They're all going to get offense up. Really nice. Her uniques aren't too important. It's mostly about her team. Basically, the effective part of it is when she takes damage, she gains 20% turn meter on the JML team. And then when she takes damage, she gets retribution. So since we're only dealing with Jedi in this comp, we're not going to worry about the rest of it, not going to worry about her leader. Other valuable ability, it's better with clones, I know, but the value here is Dispel all debuffs on all allies. So having a mass cleanse, super valuable. You're not going to do anything with the clone troopers, but you're going to give a buff based on the roll. Attacker, stealth and crit chance up. So you can hide Jedi Knight Revan which is a great idea because the AI has high target and priority for him. They want to kill him. You hide him, or you hide Jedi Knight Luke, who usually can take care of himself. So, but it gives him crit chance up. Support or healer, speed up and tenacity up. That's potentially the best one, or tank. So you can give crit immunity to JML for 3 turns, and that's valuable. But the most valuable thing is the cleanse. Her second special is, for our purposes on this team, basically just a simple call to assist. Call ally to assist. If they were a Galactic Republic Jedi, they gain 25% tenacity until the end of the battle. In this comp, we don't have that. But this is basically just a simple assist with her, which is, nothing to, I don't know, turn your nose up at, because you got Jedi Knight Luke on the team. He can do a lot of damage. So Shaak Ti, really nice. Both her and Jedi Knight Luke fill a similar role with Dispel on the basic. Next up, we got Hoda, who is such a perfect fit for the JML team. And you want to use him in a couple of different ways depending on how your match is going. So I don't even have all the Zetas on him. I have plenty of Zetas to spare. I'm gonna just apply that, but I think that should show you that was not a huge priority for me. So Hoda's value, he is a healer and he gives out a very fantastic buff, Grandmaster's Training. So I'd say if you have a long battle where it's just gonna take a lot of turns, start giving out Master's Training as soon as you can. If it's short, you might want to just use JML's granted ability to get extra damage. So Master's Training, he stealths for 2 turns, dispels debuffs on target ally, gives a Master's Training, calls him to assist. Master's Training, this is doubled for Jedi, plus 25%, so really 50% in this team. 50% accuracy, whatever. Defense, good. Offense, good. Potency and tenacity. Can't be dispelled or prevented. Most important thing is offense, but defense too. So I either put this on Jedi Master Luke or Jedi Knight Luke first, depending. If JML is taking heavy fire, I want on him for the defense. If I'm just going hard, like attacking, put it on Jedi Knight Luke. He does most of the damage. Next thing, his special. This is the Zeta, but without the Zeta, all allies have their current health percentages equalized. Then all allies recover 20% health. So that's going to be really helpful to just heal and make sure you're alive. If you have the Zeta, you recover 20% protection. It's a reduced cooldown and foresight on all allies. Protection recovery, very helpful. But he also has his basic, all allies get 10% health and 5% protection. All other allies gain 5% turn meter. So in a lot of cases, my favorite character to call with the special granted ability is Hoda, because he's going to heal. It doesn't matter that this is a non-damaging attack. It does whatever the damage based on JML's max protection is. So he does a lot of damage on his own. He's healing. He's giving turn meter. It's great. The only case where you really want to be careful with that is facing Rey. If Rey has Inspired and you are spamming that ability, Rey will be on steroids. She will do her AoE ultimate for 1,000,000 damage on everyone because you're giving everyone turn meter. All those are separate instances, extra mastery on Rey. And that's a common matchup too and a common mistake. So I really wanted to point that out. So just be careful. But healing up at the end, great to call Hoda. Everyone's getting protection. His unique's pretty simple. I mean, this one, whenever an ally with Master's Training is defeated, he gains 100% turn meter. You don't want that to happen, so it's not going to happen too much. I just applied the Zeta, reset his cooldowns, which is okay. This unique does not require the Zeta, but he stealths for 2 turns at the start of the battle and has 100% evasion while stealth. That is very helpful. That is very handy. So he's usually not going to be in danger. The enemy doesn't need to kill him for you to lose, and vice versa. You don't need to kill him on an enemy team. But it's just helpful to hide him and protect him from that damage. If there are no other ally, okay, he escaped. So they're just simple uniques. That's why I went over them last. But he is super valuable in what he brings in the healing and the turn meter and all that. Last Jedi Knight Revan, I don't want to spend a ton of time on his kit, skipping the leadership ability, but I'll go over his active abilities first because they're kind of what brings value to him. So the mark is very valuable, buff immunity and marked on target enemy for 2 turns. If you don't have the Zeta, it's just marked, but you're calling all allies to assist, reducing the turn meter. So all that can lead to a lot of damage on this team. And just control their cooldowns, make them the target. It's just great. This is my favorite ability on JML because I need to cleanse a lot. This is another AoE cleanse. It's an AoE damage, so you need to be careful if they have like retribution. But you swap turn meter with a target ally, which a favorite target of mine. I'm not going over in this video, but Jedi Knight Cal. Also, Jedi Knight Luke is a big target, trying to get him back around to another AoE stun. And Revan's also going to get 4% crit damage up, but the turn meter swap, great. Basic, it's whatever. It's not a big deal. I mean, call him to assist, just to spread that buff around from JML or try to heal him up, but it's not that great of a basic, so it's like whatever. Savior, this is really useful too, but the problem is since Jedi Knight Revan is not the leader, he's vulnerable, and the AI likes to target Revan. So the first time another Jedi ally would be reduced to 1% health if Revan is active. They recover all their health and protection, can crit immunity for 2 turns, take a bonus turn, dispel debuffs, can't be defeated the rest of that turn. So can't be defeated the rest of the turn. That's kind of like if there's a mass assist, the first hit kills them. All those other hits, even if it would take him to 0, it's not going to kill him. Again, he can't save himself if he's not in the lead. So that's why I like to hide him with Shaak Ti is a good idea. Because the AI really likes to go gung-ho on him. But the maximum value of that Savior is like JML. If JML goes down and gets the Savior, there's so much health and protection they had to chew through, and it's just like a wash. So it's pretty awesome if you can protect Revan. And he's just got some stab boost, 10% tenacity, health steal, max health, max protection, crit avoidance, so just some stab boost. And then the Zeta just makes him immune to stun ability block, and gives extra bonuses to other Jedi allies. That's it for Jedi Knight Revan. That's the whole team and their kits. So I know this is probably the longest segment of the video. And I went over most of those kits just integrating the Zeta as it is, but I'll talk about that Zeta order now and try to talk about what the Zetas take away from what we've talked about in terms of prioritizing them. So before we dive into the order for like JML Zetas, which is going to be a big deal, we can skip entirely all of Shaak Ti's Zetas and the leadership of Revan and Jedi Knight Luke. Don't need to consider them at all. So that is 4 Zetas just off the table for consideration. Then we're looking at 2, 3, 5, still 11 to consider. But Jedi Knight or Jedi Master Luke is going to be the one we're looking at first. And I think the argument for the first Zeta on him, you might already have Zetas on the rest of the team by the time you unlock him. So let's just talk about JML first. It's either Galactic Legend or the leader. So the leader, when an ally falls below 100% health, it is like the kind of bailout mechanic if they're going under in health. That's really nice. It's really helpful for survivability. It's extremely useful. Galactic Legend really helps him survive. And this extra max protection, 10% max health and max protection per relic level and damage reduced by 30%. That doesn't affect the damage from his granted ability, but it makes him super tanky. And he's taking the damage. That's why I do think I'd give that first, but these are both, it's like 1A, 1B. Both of those two first. You can kind of get away with skipping a lot of these for a while if you're strapped. Number 3, I would say, is Efflux. It's more damage, more turn meter removed, and turn meter gain and crit immunity for 1 turn. So that's your starting move. That really helps you out. I'd say Efflux is number 3 on JML. Jedi Legacy, this is where we start getting, I don't know, a little lower in the totem pole. You could argue that there's some utility to not have this one at all. All this does is give him Jedi Legacy. He can gain Jedi Lessons if you don't have this, I think. So you can get up to 60% mastery. But the mastery isn't that valuable. I mean, it gives him specifically crit avoidance, protection, and resistance. And the protection gain isn't even that impressive. So it might be a few thousand extra. But it's not a huge priority. So that's kind of low priority. So I'm not saying that's 4 now. I think this might be 4. Increase the cooldowns of target enemy by 1. And then they get crit advantage and damage up. So that's the main utility of that ability. I'd say this is 4. Jedi Legacy 5. And then 6 for him is his basic. This is the last one. This just will crit if able and can't be countered. You're not worried about the damage output on his basic too much. It's either the granted damage or someone else is attacking, or he's attacking through Efflux. So that's the absolute last priority. Jedi Knight Luke's also isn't that impressive. He's unique. When he attacks out of turn, is quickly hit. This is the 2 speed. So most of his kit's intact. Like, okay, that's 20 speed. That's like 2/3 of a speed triangle is the difference. So that's not a huge priority. I think if you are running this comp with Revan, I think some of Revan's will take priority over Jedi Master Luke, especially direct focus. I think direct focus should be after you have 3 Zetas on JML. So after you have his leadership, Galactic Legend, and Efflux, I would go, if you're starting from scratch here, direct focus on Revan. You don't have to worry about his leadership. Hero, it makes him immune to stun and ability block. It's nice, but you can kind of skip it. I'd say that's also probably before these other, before the Groby, I don't know, probably before his basic at the least. Jedi Legacy, I don't know. It's somewhere in there. It's kind of a little bit lower priority, but higher than his basic. And then Hoda, I'd say this is about the priority after the 3 JML Zetas that I talked about. So after you have the leadership, the unique, and the special Zeta, I'd say get that first one on Hoda. That and marked are pretty even. It just depends what you're doing. Probably Hoda first, actually. So Hoda would be number 4. Revan's would be number 5. And the 6th total you get on JML. 7th on Giant Revan. Then Luke's maybe 8. And then you come back for Jedi Legacy and Indomitable Blast. Sorry if that's confusing, but that's just... I'm just thinking through it. You might have all the Zetas by the time you get JML, but that's the order priority for him. These 3 are in a class of their own. Efflux, Legend of the Jedi, and Galactic Legend. So that's it for Zeta priority. Now let's talk about mods. Looking at my mods first, then Swigget.gg. So JML's modding is pretty straightforward. Your primary focus is protection, then speed, and then potency probably in defense. So protection, bar none, most important. This affects how much damage your team is doing and also how many hits he can take. Speed is important because you want to get out as early as you can and get the Terminator to your whole team. With Efflux, that's valuable. Potency, I don't have too much built into it, but it's nice. I use a speed set and a defense set as opposed to like a health set because defense is reducing the rate at which your protection goes down. Health is largely irrelevant. I mean, he will fall under protection sometimes, but you want to reduce the rate at which that happens, not protect his health. Also, a quick note, I didn't go over relic order. Giant Luke and Hoda will be in relics already when you get JML. JML is a high priority to get to relic. Relic 9. He was my first relic 9 ever. Ever. He benefits the most from relic 9 than anyone else. So JML, high priority to get to relics. You can run the team pretty well without relics. I'm not going to tell you like when to like apply them, but you can get away kind of for a while without a ton of relics. But like they're just fine. Relic 3 is just fine for these 2 if you have them on the team. But I'm not diving too much into the relic order in this video. But back to mods. So Jedi Luke, when he's on his own in the lead, you want him slow. When he's under Jedi Luke, you want to give him some speed. So he's modded for damage, offense, crit damage triangle, speed, as much speed as I can get, and a protection circle, because his protection is one of the highest base protections out of any character. He has a higher base protection than Jedi Master Luke before at Relic 9. Because it's just like, it might even after. At Gear 13, he just has so much protection. It's insane. He is so tanky. Like 111,000 before, not even with any data chron or anything. But yeah, I have him modded with offense set and crit chance, because his crit chance is not, he's a strength tank, so crit chance is not part of his mastery, so his crit chance does merit some amplification if you can do it. So he's not one of those characters where I think it's a throwaway to have crit chance, so I do have crit chance mods on him. But I got like offense, crit damage. I'm not trying to make him the fastest in the world, so I have like a 14 speed here, maybe. I can make that faster. 19, 25. I'm sorry, guys. That seems unfair. That seems like I'm the luckiest person in the world, and that's what that felt like to me right now. But we just got faster. Okay, Jedi Revan, just speed. Speed and like health. You want to kind of make him survive more. I think I remodded him after my Jedi Revan for noobs. No, I didn't. Okay, so I still just have the fastest mods I can. Like defense, not that valuable. It would be better to have health, but I have a fast speed mod, or mod with the defense primary. Offense, Again, it would be better with health. Maybe I'll try to swap it around. But he's flimsy, so try to make him survive. He's not a damage dealer. You just want him fast and try to keep him alive. Hoda, just kind of speed and stuff that keeps him alive too, because he doesn't deal damage on his own. And potency you don't need at all, so just like defense protection. I mean, I think this is weird, kind of weird to have defense, protection, and health primary, but it's all kind of like part of the same pot. Nothing different really is happening too much if he's losing, if he has 20. If you could put 10,000 extra into his protection or his health, I don't think it really matters which one it is. He's kind of like whatever. Shaak Ti, also same thing. I think speed, just staying alive. She doesn't need potency. She doesn't need damage. So you just need like primaries that keep her alive. I have tenacity mods just because I have some fast speed, and it's like, oh, this isn't a great mod, but yeah, that's better. Okay, finally didn't roll his speed, but just having like a sliced health mod is good for her, just to get. I mean, if you do have a health mod, it's better to be 6 dot. Protection is great for her too. But those are my mods, and now let's look at swiggy.gg. So here we go. For JML, a lot of people are using, and just for clarification, this is looking at the top 1,000 Kyber 1 players in Grand Arena as of the date of this video, or like recently. So my mods are considered for this, but it's just showing high competitive mods, not just the whole player base. Most people are using speed and health mods, all focused on protection. They're not using speed arrows. I did use a speed arrow, but I think I had some good protection on it. So I'm surprised that people are using health. I really think defense, potency makes sense too, but like 80% are using speed in either potency or health. So it's all speed and something. Some people are using all health. That's a mistake, I think. Or no, that's not a mistake. I mean, you can run them under Bastila, Sean, lead, and have Watt, and that does make sense there, but not many people do that. It's a 60-38 split on the protection for the air, protection speed for the arrow. Triangle, you're never going to see a more dominant percentage. This is why I roast people so much in roster reviews if they don't have protection. 97.92% of players have protection on the primary. 98.8% on the circle, 96.4% on the cross. You just can't get any more dominant than that. It's crazy. So very straightforward, speed, protection, that's what you want. Looks like most people agree with me on Jedi Luke's sets, offense, and crit chance. It's used by 41% of the top players. 30% still use offense, but have health in there. Endgame players just have a lot of good health mods for all kinds of different uses, so that's why you see health a lot. Crit damage, so some kind of damage, some kind of offense. Speed is higher than offense, but still 40% are using offense on the arrow instead of speed. Dominant crit damage, some are using offense, but 87% crit damage, 76% protection. You want the protection on the circle, make it a priority. And then the cross, 95% offense. Very clear cut for him. So that's what I like to see, where it's not ambiguous at all. Hoda, speed and health. That's high percentage. 62% of players are using that, just because the largest concentration of fast mods endgame players have is in health mods. The game gives you so many free health mods from events and stuff that you end up just having a lot of fast ones. But it's all about speed here. It doesn't matter what the secondary set is. Some people don't use a secondary set. But 95% speed on the arrow. Defense, protection, health. So some kind of survivability stat. It's a very even split. Just like I said, pretty even on the circle. 56-43 protection, health. Protection, defense, health. Tennis. Yeah, all the things. Like nothing about him doing damage or doing something. It's all about him just taking some hits. And it's not even that big a deal, because a lot of times he's just stealthed anyway, but just make him a little bit more durable. Shaak Ti, similar thing. Speed, health. Used by 63% of the top 1,000. And then 12%, they're all using health or speed and some kind of other. Some people are using full health. 91% speed on the arrow. 45% are health, and then 23% protection. Just survivability, like across, just survivability. A lot of people use more health. A I'll be honest, I'm not exactly sure why health is prioritized over protection. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it's something to do with going with clones. But you just want her to survive and take hits. And just take turns fast. The faster the team is, the more you get the Jedi lessons out and the ult and damage, all that kind of stuff. And again, doesn't really matter anyone's damage when you're just doing that granted ability primarily. Jedi Revan, speed and health, 67% are using that, but it's also mostly some kind of speed. Just make him fast. His protection pool sucks, so you want a lot of health. And that's what it's bearing out in the stats. So just make him survive. But that's the mods on the whole team. It's pretty straightforward on all of them. I mean, the execution is just like how many fast mods do you have, which always varies. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So now we're going to be looking at who this team beats and who beats them. So I'm in JC Insight. I have filtered everything except Kyber. So every league below Kyber 5. The reason being, I don't want Datacrons to impact it too much because Datacrons, I love Datacrons, but they kind of muddy the waters because every season is different. And right now there is a Jedi Datacron active, so that really skews in favor of JML. And it's not to say none of these lower leagues use any, but it's just a reduced amount of that. So I filtered by the whole comp. I use Hoda, Jedi Knight Luke, Revan, and Shaak Ti, and we're showing what they're beating in these leagues. And there's still there's a good bit of data from just this specific comp. People flex a lot, use different characters, especially Shaak Ti seems to be the least common, the most selective character I have on here. A lot of people use Bastila or Grandmaster Yoda. But they do very well against Supreme Leader Kylo. You basically want to control them with ability blocks, kill the main support characters like Hux and Sith Trooper, because Sith Trooper can cleanse, Hux can reset cooldowns and pass turns. But they're pretty good. JML's really good at that. They crush General Skywalker because it's just so easy to cut through, even that high defense. Pretty much most of these non-GL squads you're going to see are going to be easy. They struggle against Malgus because Malgus just reduces damage so much. It's hard to actually kill him. So I'd be careful using him against Malgus. Rey you can beat, but like I said, you got to be careful and manage her inspiration. So especially a team like this that doesn't have Ben solo, you can do it. Just make sure you're critting her enough to remove her inspiration and don't spam that special until you have that taken care of. JMK, it's tough to do. You kind of have to use Grandmaster Yoda in that way, but usually you want to mark Commander Ahsoka Tano, and you can take her out that way. It's good against Jedi Knight or CLS. Mirrors are going to be kind of hard. It's good against Darth Revan. Lord Vader, I love to use Jedi Master Luke against Lord Vader, but it is kind of skill-based. You need to know what you're doing. If you are faster, it makes it a lot easier. The cleansing helps a lot. You want to pick apart the whole team except Lord Vader and control his cooldowns. You want to increase the cooldowns either with Revan's Mark or JML's Assist, which increases cooldowns. And you also want to ability block him. If he's in ult, you have to control the cooldowns. If he's not in ult, you can use ability block. So that's very valuable. Yeah, you know, Starkiller is going to be good against JML. So what other things? Yeah, don't use him on Chop. Don't use him on Reva. He's not going to be good there. Padme is going to be fine. You know, a lot of these non-GLs are going to be fine. So there's a lot of uses for him. Just be careful with Jabba. Leia is you can beat Leia with JML. However, you don't want supports. So you'd have to kind of throw out what I talked to you. Because if you have a support character, Leia can just basic that support and heal all the way back up. But basically, you want to mark Leia. And you kind of have to have a better team. Like if you have Cal and then a tank, like Mace Windu is probably the bee's knees for this. He's the best because he dispels stealth. I don't know. Not a lot of noobs are doing it, so it's hard to show. But like, you have to look up a video on it, like some of my old Grand Arrays, but JML can beat Leia. So that's what they beat. So what counters them? There are a few dominant counters that really stand out. So Sith Eternal and Reva, probably going to be the go-to. I have it filtered the same thing, the lower leagues, and this exact comp. Sith Eternal dominates him because it just links. He links Jedi Master Luke, takes away all his protection, and then just zaps the whole team. And they just, it's bad. It's rough. Jabba crushes him. Reva really crushes him because JML has no guard against like turn meter trains. So if they can get going early, there's just no stopping them. So that's what Reva does. Interestingly enough, Jedi Master Kenobi a lower win rate than like Sith Eternal and Jabba, even though he's considered like probably one of the best GLs. Slicker has a hard time against him. JML usually is going to be a good counter. You just, if you're faster, it's going to be a lot easier. You get out and stop the efflux, kill some key enemies, like kill Revan for, like if you are behind the wheel, it's easier to kill a Jedi Master Luke team. Star Killer can do it. You just gotta, gotta be careful. You need the Omicrons. You need a good setup. Lord Vader's gonna have an easy time because JML versus Lord Vader works well, but you really need to be controlling it specifically. It's not gonna work on auto. Lots of stuff. Treya's gonna beat it in a lot of cases because her Omicron is not turned off against Light Side Galactic Legends. Bane's gonna crush it. Not General Skywalker. Grievous can actually beat it in a lot of cases sometimes. This is only with Stab showing some wins. But yeah, so there's some stuff that can beat it. It's not just GLs, but there's some very dominant things like Bane, Reva, those S tier non-GL teams kind of handle them. And I think the last section of this video is going to be a demonstration. So here I am in the Galactic Challenge of today. I haven't test run it yet. I usually do, but I'm fairly certain I'll do well. It's against the Iden Versio team. One note, I prefer to put Jedi Knight Luke and Hoda in the 2 and 4 slot just to make it easier to target them. Hoda is hard to target if he is in the 5th slot. He's hiding behind people. So I target Luke and Hoda the most when I'm attacking. So here we go. This is one of the easier Galactic challenges, so not like a huge challenge here. But in this case, like in most cases, you start with E-Flux. We're going to get some more turn meter. We didn't land any debuffs there. And this is kind of a judgment call to me. What we want to start with. What is this? I don't want that to come into play. But I'll start by giving Master's Training to Jedi Master Luke. Just help him take more turns. Now, Shaak Ti, I want to save this cleanse if I need it. If there's a lot of debuffs. My first choice, 95% of the time, is the granted ability. I can either... I don't have any debuffs I need to dispel. I don't really need to force Revan to take a turn, so I'm just going to do Hoda, so everyone gets some turn meter. Now I have Revan available. I can... his specials are more tempting to use. You can mark someone, you can swap turns. I want to swap a turn with Luke when he's low turn meter, so I can just cycle him back around to his stun. Or if I really wanted to, I could swap to him to get the stun now. But since he's close to a turn, I'll just use granted ability, target Luke, and he's going to get some turn meter. And he already got some turn meter from his unique. Stun them all. Beautiful. And let's target Hoda. We want to spread the Jedi lessons. Everyone's kind of got it right now. So Hoda or Luke, usually who I target. I don't like those daggers, so I'll kind of cleanse them and hide Revan. But also Shaak Ti, get the offense up. That's a great thing too. Iden, she takes a turn. I kind of want her cooldown reduced. And let's just do this. I'm mainly doing that to do a lot of damage. If there was a key enemy I wanted to target, I'd do that. But it's really so easy. I do like to get this ability out, just make Jedi Master Luke faster, because 25% speed on him goes a long way. And then in GSC, I'd be trying to recover banners, so I'd target Hoda. And using this. I do wish there was someone in my Fleet Arena that had Lord Vader set, so that'd be a good demonstration, but they don't. So let's just try to finish out trying to recover banners, and this is where I was talking about earlier, just trying to target Hoda as much as I can. This is the only thing I can do not to kill her. I can also use this. This doesn't deal damage if I call Hoda. Heal up with that. So Shaak, I can heal. Oh, that's another thing. When I was talking about this ability, I said it was just a basic assist, but it is more. You can recover health and protection. So JML has reduced protection. So that would have been a full banner win. So that's just kind of banner control at the end. That's kind of the value of this specific comp. So just a symbol demo, just to show the mechanics. It wasn't a real challenging one. I don't want to go to Conquest because it's all modified by data discs. In an arena, everyone's supercharged on these JMK Jedi datacrons, and that wouldn't be a good demonstration either. But yeah, that's it. That is JML for noobs. Really love this team, this like legend. He's not like the first one I recommend people to go for, but he's super valuable in Conquest, in PvP, in territory battle as well. So I hope you enjoyed. Hope this helps, and thanks for watching Squads for Noobs. See you later.